So this is a sub I purchased from Subway back in Friday. As I didn't exactly write down everything I got on this sub, and a Subway employees at the Subway tucked into the food court area of the Seymour Union didn't really write it down, what I got. I don't remember everything I got on this sub off the top of my head. But it tastes pretty good. Today was the day I heard that the Associated Press, who are generally considered the authority on the presidential race, and I think any other national or state level elections within the United States, they called the race for Biden as they called the race for Pennsylvania, which gave him 20 electoral votes, enough, more than the 6 needed to push him over the edge of 270. And to ultimately have the AP call the presidential race for Joe Biden. There are, of course, going to be some legal challenges, some of which are still ongoing by the incumbent's campaign. For Team Trump. But I'm expecting that Team Biden will ultimately pull through and Joe Biden will be the 46th president of the United States. My sister showed me a text message she received from, I'm assuming, a college friend, showing a New York Times article on Joe Biden beating Trump in the presidential race. And this is while we were waiting for our orders at Sweet Mimi's within Saratoga Springs. I in particular got the raspberry swirl waffle for $13.50. The same price as what Dad got, which I assume is some kind of omelet, but I'm not entirely sure. I'm hoping that with Biden as president, will take a more active role within the global community to tackle the biggest problems facing humanity today. And to fight for human rights, domestic and abroad. Dad picked my sister up at Skidmore University. The drive to which took about 4 hours. We first left around I think it was 7 or 8 in the morning. I think we arrived from 11 to noon. I enjoy these sun chips quite a bit. I think they're healthier than most chips on the market. After we ate at Sweet Moomy's, we went to the tea and honey place. After Dad found a bathroom at a sort of mall-like place. It's like a mall in that it's a large building with a series of small shops and some that serve food, but it's not the size I would usually associate with a shopping mall. The bread's pretty good for something I got on Friday. It was probably in the fridge roughly since then. This is my styrofoam of The Thing from the Fantastic Four. A styrofoam my dad requested of me. I'm pretty much done drawing it. I basically have to do a bunch of coloring in with orange Sharpie markers. I have this task because I managed to complete the last one right before we had to leave for today's birthday celebration trip to Saratoga Springs. Though it was rather brief, as driving there and back home took several hours alone, during which I played a bunch of music on YouTube. I went through my dad's car speaker through Bluetooth. alternating between playing songs I wanted to play and taking requests from Dad, that sort of thing. I think he tends to pick rock songs from the 1980s, while I pick pop and alternative rock from more today. Though there are also cases where I will play something older, such as TLC's Waterfalls. And I also played a lot of remixes and a couple of things that technically weren't licensed AAA songs, such as the Buck Bumblebee, such as the Buck Bumble theme song, and some music by the Go YouTuber Smirks that I assume he made through FL Studio and also has hosted on SoundCloud. It was at that Tea and Honey place that we all got some tea, both in dry, raw ingredients bags and actual prepared tea with honey added in. I got Zan Yan milk oolong tea that came from Taiwan on the way to go. And I got it with wildflower honey. Oh dear. I have just minutes to ultimately get that exclusive building that I don't have yet. Although another benefit of playing this particular game is that I think it's the primary way you get evolutions for the Witch's Hut building, which is my only source for remnant frogs, which I now use exclusively or quite extensively during pretty much all encounter types. Because remnant frogs have pretty much unlimited range. And if a unit strong to them happens to be spawned, I have plenty of other units to fall back on, such as my Orc Strategist, although that's also a heavy range. And since remnant frogs are also heavy ranged, units that are strong to remnant frogs would also be strong to orc strategists. Most often, I either trained tridents or archers at the barracks. Upgrading it again would require some more space. Space that I don't have yet at the moment. My dad said when he had the other sub I got for him that the bread was a little stale, and he thanked me for getting the subs from Subway because it meant he didn't have to cook much over the weekend. The oolong tea came in one of those plastic coffee sleeve things you would expect to get at Starbucks. And I didn't drink any of it until we got to the car because you have to wear a mask when you're out and about. Pretty much the only times you don't have to wear a mask is when you're at home, inside a bathroom stall, inside your car, or sitting down at a public place. According to what I recall. Outside of those times, it's important to wear a mask to protect others from being infected with COVID-19. I didn't do much work on the new 99th Dan Hamming because I've been trying to think. I had been busy due to an assignment I had to do by 6 p.m. Friday for my politics of geography class, and I had to spend some time to try and plan out what to do for the action scene where the Uber driver swerves and the bowl of mustard goes flying. I think now I finally have a plan for it, and I've been spending a bit of time just now, pretty much right as soon as we got home, to start putting that plan into motion, or really coming up with the plan as I go along. As is typically the case, for Dan Hamming episodes. I may also use this 99th episode to tie up some loose ends ultimately. If I recall, shortly before we went on that big road trip that pretty much took the better part of a whole day, Dad gave me a pretty big fruit Danish with the filling all out in the open and in the middle, and a cup of coffee. I also had coffee, about roughly 2 porcelain cups, with just one being refilled once, with the house blend, which was pretty good. And it was plain because I always get my coffee plain. It was all pretty good, and right before we went to that tea place, my sister noticed at the place where Dad made the stop to go to the bathroom, this Saratoga chocolates place, and it was there where I got it was intended to be a 6-pack of these handmade truffles, but I think with an Irish cream my dad wanted with the Irish cream my dad wanted, it ended up being a 7-pack. My sister wanted a raspberry truffle, but I think she got that one separately. As we were nearing Rochester, watching the effects of the sunset on the night sky, making it go from straight blue to making it change through the colors of becoming yellow, then orange, then a sort of green, and then to teal and progressively darker shades of dark blue and purple. It was a pretty beautiful process. There's something I like about driving at night, though that's probably only due to a bias due to me always being a passenger and never a driver, despite having a driver's permit. My dad says he doesn't like driving at night because of all the bright lights. all the artificial light, basically. In regard to the sun, it can get into your eyes when you're driving in the daylight. But that's what these little flaps on the tops of each side of the windscreen are for. To block the sun out. And I also like the music. Smurf makes using FL Studio, but it seems like my dad doesn't. I guess he finds it to be too repetitive. He finds the lack of lyrics to be rather jarring.